So welcome to another edition of the IPA Interview Series with IPA Hall of Fame inductee from 2023, Dee Dee Ogrodny. It is my pleasure to be here interviewing you and to sharing with the people just some of your history and life and all the things that make you special, some things that they may not know, but just have some time talking about everything that's made you and brought you to this point of being a 2023 IPA Hall of Fame inductee. Just as a preface, one thing I'll throw out there is that Dee Dee, you are the third most decorated vocalist in terms of number of awards won after Eddie B and Lenny Gomulka.
Wow.
So that is such a huge thing. There's so much we're going to get into in your history, and we're going to make you uncomfortable. If anybody knows Dee Dee, it's hard to have her talk about herself. It's hard to pay her a compliment. I always called you and your family Teflon skillets, because you try to compliment them and it just bounces off, and they try to slide it back off, but we'll make you uncomfortable. And if you fail to, in that regard, to talk about yourself, I'm gonna have to bring in your son, who's sitting on the sideline, who will then be able to sing your praises. So let's start going through your life in your early days. And you grew up in a musical family. Just talk about your early years, getting into music and taking lessons and all of that, and your family.
Okay. Well, my brother started with the bellhops when he was like 8.
Yes. Well, let's even go back further. Your dad.
Well, my dad played with the Silver Moon Orchestra and the Polish Ambassadors and all that from his 20s.
Right.
And then, so it starts there. And then when the bellhops started, I think I was born a couple years later. So I think my first appearance at a dance like that with the family was like 18 months old.
So, I'm shocked. I was about to say, wait a second, how old is Henny compared to you? How much older?
10 and a half years.
10 and a half?
Yeah, he's older.
Okay, so you're a much younger little sister, and he was already out playing, because he started playing
when he was 8.
At 8 years old.
Yeah.
So then here you come along, and then at 18 months, what?
I made my first appearance at a dance. I'm not doing anything, but
showing up.
Yes.
Watching your big brother. So you started playing an instrument. You started playing piano, taking piano lessons. How old
At
were
9.
that?
8 or 9.
8 and 9. Well, we'll get into these albums, but there's a wonderful picture we can share on the tribute to our dad, Henry Shevich with Love, picture of Dee Dee playing piano at how old? Probably in the early years. You
I was probably like 4 or 5.
Actually, probably younger. Yeah.
Yeah, I was a little in there.
So they can show that if we want to edit that in. But just at an early age, you start playing piano, taking piano lessons.
For 7 years.
For 7 years.
Right.
Okay. And polkas are part of life.
Oh,
so just talk about your involvement in music or just appreciation of music.
It was playing. Polkas were playing at our house all the time.
Right.
All day long. All the radio stations were on at that point.
Right.
I know that Don Evans used to have a polka show. This is way before, many years before. And you could call in and request songs. I mean, it was that kind of a radio show. So anyway, we listened all the time. When a new album came out, I always said this to Eddie B. When their albums came out, or Lenny, we had friends that lived across the street. Very Polish neighborhood. And we would run across the street. My girlfriend, it was the Squires family, and I would go to Linda and say, we got it, and then get the old turntable out, and we would listen to the album,
sit and listen to
dance
the
in the living room. It was great.
Wear them out over and over.
Oh, yeah.
So, when were your first performances out? Not playing piano, you were singing first, or describe that whole situation.
I was 9, and the bellhops, well, it was the whole family, Teddy, Frankie, Ronnie, Jeannie, who played piano.
So these are the Gabala families.
Right.
So talk about iconic families in the Western Pennsylvania polka scene.
Yeah.
The Gabalas and the Yasheviches.
Well,
and Ogrodnys.
And they joined. Well, the Ogrodnys were 45 minutes away, and that was 45 minutes away.
Yes. But just McKeesport, Gabalas and Yasheviches.
Yes. And then there were other bands throughout the area too, but so my dad and their dad, Leo,
Yes.
talked and got together, and they decided to start the band, and they asked
Yes.
Kenny to play trumpet. So they were playing already a number of years, and when I was 9, they decided they were going to have this little group called the Hopettes. And
Okay.
it was 3 grown-up girls. It was the Ripka girls and another girl, Ricky Wirtz was her name, and they wanted a little mascot. So I was the mascot, and it was really cool. And it didn't last a really long time, but
So they were older than you.
Yeah.
And you're the young little one, but you're still probably singing, like you had special songs at that point where you were featured on. Or what was that?
it was Zosha,
Yes.
Kalina Vleše,
Yes.
and Pukamarish. Those were our 3
Those are 3
specialties.
songs.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we did that, and then it was short. It was not even a year. They quit, and one day I was at a dance with the family, and
Yes.
Leo Gavala went up on stage and said, "Okay, now we're going to bring up our little female vocalist." I had no idea he was going to do that.
Yes.
And my mom looked at me and she said, "If you want to do this, there you go." So I just went up, and they stuck me on a chair.
Yes.
And because they never moved the mic stands, they just
Yes.
put me on the chair. Which I have stories about that.
Yes.
But that was the first time.
They wouldn't dare lower the thing.
No, it
We
was.
gotta lift you up so people can see you anyway.
Well, that worked.
Yeah.
Funny story about that. They used to carry a big bag of hats.
Okay.
That was a gimmick.
To
Teddy.
give away or?
No, to put on.
To put on, okay.
Yeah. And one was a ceramic hand, like from a mannequin. And
Okay.
it stuck out of the top of the hat. And I was singing on the stage, sometimes they were wobbly chairs
Yes.
too, but I was singing on the chair, and Teddy took the hat and he went plunk, and it was ceramic. And I
Oh
mean,
my goodness.
he almost knocked me out. But I got it together and finished the song. It was
Nice.
okay.
So with the same songs you would sing at that point, or were there others that came in as part of that?
Pretty much those 3,
Okay.
because I had no idea he was going to do that anyway.
Yes.
So that was usually they'd call me up, and that was my 3.
So it's amazing you say, you had a decision point there. Your mom says, if you want to do this, and if you hadn't, the whole course of history would be changed. Maybe you wouldn't have become
Yeah.
who you are, being the female vocalist on your own without the other
Without the
hopettes.
hopettes.
Right. Yes. So there's early years there. Then there was a Ray J involvement of some type you were talking about? Yes.
So the guys got older, and they started to get called to the service, and
Yes.
Ronnie was the drummer, and they needed somebody to fill in while he was in. And we were in Calumet, Pennsylvania. I still remember, and they were bringing this really good Polish vocalist for us to meet.
Okay.
And in walks Ray. And
You didn't know him?
I didn't know him.
Wow, okay.
And he got up to sing, and
It's because he was all the way from Portview? Or where
all
was
the
he
way from Portview. Now that was 15
2
minutes
miles
away. Yeah. Yeah. So Glassport, actually. Glassport.
Okay, Glassport.
Yeah, right in the middle there.
Yeah, 15-minute walk away, right?
Right. So So Ray started with the band then, and he played drums, and we all got to be really close.
Yes.
And then I got to sing with him. We used to do Mountaineers Farewell.
Yes.
Yeah, and a few other things. Yeah.
Which is great, but I have to say, encourage people to look up online. There's some videos of you and Stush singing Mountaineer Circle, and it's just dear. You two.
He
together,
would get a
it's
little
just
wound up. He would sit on the piano
He
bench with
does.
me. Yeah, and I would be trying to keep my concentration, and but yeah, he was.
Yes. So early polka heroes. Who are these people that you're growing up? You're with your friends wanting to listen to records. Who
Oh
do you
my
listen
gosh,
to
well,
the most?
Eddie B. Later, when Lenny was playing on his own, he played with Eddie for years.
Yes.
Lenny, Happy Louie,
Yes.
Jimmy Sturr for a
Yeah.
different type of a musical
Yes.
beat, speed. But yeah, Jimmy Sturr. My dad listened to a lot of the Gene Wisniewski,
Yes.
a lot of that, and then later on, as it progressed, it was Scrubby.
Yes.
It was Randy.
Would you
It
say
was-
there's not much outside the polka world that you listen to?
Not much.
Yes. The polkas are it.
For our
Yes.
wedding, the first number of the evening was Concertina Polka.
Yes.
And
That's a first dance. An appropriate first dance. for your wedding, right?
absolutely. I thought so. And so they asked us Jimmy Weber and the Sounds played, and they asked us, what do you want? And I said, polkas. We said polkas. And they said, what else? And we said, waltzes and operas. And that's all we had all night.
The entire night?
The entire night. And I went back to work at Westinghouse, and they were wonderful. But they said, you didn't have one slow number or one rock number. And I said, no, I guess not. I didn't even think about it, you know. But they had a blast because we danced it.
So you're growing up, you're doing some singing with other bands, bellhops, whatnot. Then what happened? Like, when did you actually become a band member? Was that the Versajays?
Okay, so then the bellhops, some went to the service, and then they decided they kind of disbanded.
Right.
They got married and had kids, and also my brother and my dad and I joined the Polish All-Stars with with Bobby Schenk. And we played a lot of the Eagles and those kinds of venues in McKeesport. And
was that your first recording?
Yes, Polish Boyfriend.
Polish Boyfriend with the Polish All-Stars.
Yeah.
Yes, which is another big iconic tune for you, right? You said
that was
favorite for you to sing. Yes.
I think I was like 14 or something.
Okay, so Polish All-Stars, your early teen years.
Yeah.
With those guys. And then, how long was that? And
I think we played with them, goodness, it was a couple years. And then that broke up, and Henny started the Versajays.
Yes. Do you remember what year?
I want to say 72.
Okay, in that range.
Something like that.
Yes. So he starts the Versajays. And how young were you then?
Gosh. I would say 15? Yeah,
mid-teens. Yeah. And you're playing piano. Like, you took piano lessons, and you probably didn't learn polkas from your lessons, but you knew polkas and chords and bass lines and stuff. You just said, here you go.
Yeah, it was one of those things you just, I don't know, it's like that was inborn, I think. Right. It was playing a wedding and having to learn slow and rock music, and that was a little challenging,
Right.
If the music, I was fine with the music, if it fell, you know the story.
Well, okay. So, Versajays, then you're off and running. Go through the Stash history. How does that play into the Versajays and meeting Stash and all of this?
I want to say we were still with the Polish All-Stars, maybe? We were young.
Yes.
At Fedor's Grove, even before I knew who he was, he claims he was sitting in, because Joe Fedor had a recording booth there.
Yes.
He did his polka show. And he said he was watching this little girl on a chair.
Yes.
So it had to have not been the Versajays. And my brother was playing trumpet, and he such played trumpet, so that was a big deal. Yes. And he said he used to sit in the window and go like this to Henny, because he thought he was cool.
Yes.
And so anyway, that was, and then we met,
So you knew each other when you were quite young.
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Fairly young.
But then we played at, it was called 2002 later on, down there in White Oak.
Yes.
That's when I really remember meeting him more. The Petruskas were there and all, and we were playing there at that time already, and we met. And I didn't really date right away. I was really good friends with his sister Felicia, and when I had a town unless he brought her. So, so that was kind of fun.
So how did the progression go for him joining the band and you're dating, or did he marry into the Versajays, or was he already?
No. So at that time it was Trafford Polish Club and McKeesport Eagles, and Braddock had a dance, and you would have the Charltons and Ray J and the Invictas, everybody had enough people to all play on a Saturday night.
Yes.
And everybody have a crowd.
Multiple dances in the area. Totally. Multiple bands. Yes.
So anyway, I'm backtracking years. I'm trying to put this together in my head. So he started to play with Ray J. Stash did.
Right. Yes.
Ray was in the service, and we all wrote to Ray J. And he used to go back and forth. And Ray said, "How about when I come home, we start a band?" Because their family came from Little Ronnie and the Carousels.
Yes.
And Joe Fedor. But then when that disbanded, they Ray said, yeah, let's do this. So they came back, he came back, and they started to play. So they would be playing at this hall on a Saturday night, and we would be playing here, and then on Sunday morning, we would compare notes. Yeah, like, who was at your dance? Well, who was at your dance? It was that kind of, yeah, but it was fun.
Yeah, sure.
Know, it was fun. But I'm moving in a complicated manner here. I got to get back to my dates. So when Ray went to the service, no, he came back out. That's right, he came back out. That's when I started the band. And then Ray quit for a while. Ray quit. The Carousels disbanded for a while right before we were planning to get married.
Okay.
So he would come and play with us.
Yes.
And they were still split during our wedding. And then I guess maybe the next following year they started up again. Okay. But he started to play with us then.
Right.
And so that made it really nice because it wasn't
yes.
like he quit the band to come to play with us. So.
Well, right. There's such a family thread, the continuity of starting the Versages with Henny, with your dad involved in the band and you in the band, and then here comes Stasha. Now you've got more family involved, and so you're already playing, and then at some point Butchie gets told, hey, you're in, so there's that, and then Frankie Cabala's you're sent to the Book of Allah's connected throughout, so it's just such a family connection in there already. Yes.
Well, Henny started the band, and he said, okay, we're going to start a band. I need you to play piano bass. We're going to go, and we're going to find we found a Farfisa.
Yes.
And it had bass on the left and piano on the right. And so we started with that. We played a wedding. I remember the first job. Yes. And it kind of, developed from there.
Yes. I think that is part of the Versace sound, too. It was... you with piano and left-hand bass and all of that. So the family band aspect, well, you have this family thread we were beginning to talk about. There's some unique aspects to all that. Can you describe like the family? It's different when you're traveling with family. You guys had family involved, and then here comes Ryan at some point, and now you've got all that mixing in. I don't know, just talk about how that was to do the family thing.
You know what? We didn't even think much about it. We kind of just did it.
You did what you did. This is what you do.
Yeah.
Furious Chevys, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like part of life. Oh, you play vocals. Yeah, that's like getting up and eating breakfast. You just do it.
Well, in your induction speech, you talked about the challenge of being the only female in a band where there might be a break to go to the bathroom, and it might not be conducive to a lady going to the bathroom. So
yes. Well, you remember those days. You were with us during that period.
I think by that time you had a highly trained bladder to survive whatever Henny was doing. That's the schedule for the
it was. You had this much time to get to a certain place. And so we all had our seats, and we all, and it was fun, and it was funny, and, the banter back and forth was hilarious.
Yes.
But they would, especially when you're coming home later on, and everybody, all the guys need to go to the bathroom, and it's a road trip, and, all is there is woods and no rest stops, so I remember being half asleep and hearing the van pull over, and all of a sudden 6 guys get out of the van.
Yes.
And I'm waiting, and I'm thinking, oh boy. So they come back in, and I go, could we maybe stop at the next rest stop anyway? And I go, we don't have to go. So that was,
You don't have to go.
Yeah, it was.
Did that work out okay? Did they stop for you?
Yeah, they did.
I mean, golly.
I have funnier stories about that too with them, but for another time.
Well, you want to share now? Now's the time.
Well, no, that's okay. I will share a couple other things. Did we pull over once where you guys broke down on the highway? And
yes, we were.
And we happened to ride by with a trailer?
Yes.
And I remember that.
I think our wheel bearings were going or whatever, and Henny's noticed and that. Or maybe, was it? Your wheel bearings were going. I don't know.
I just know that we were all together.
It used to be when you'd see a van with a trailer, you think, I wonder what polka band that is. And sometimes you recognize each other. Now it seems like more people have trailers, but then it was like, it's got to be a polka band.
Totally. Oh my gosh.
So, in terms of the family aspect, I mentioned seeing you and Stash sing Mountaineer's Farewell or whatever. You see these videos, and you just look at each other. There's such a dearness. And I think the crowd just saw that and was drawn into just the beauty of this family aspect there, which, let's go to the growing family aspect. Were you still continuing to play while you were pregnant with Ryan and everything?
Yeah.
So,
Until a week before.
So you're sitting, and you used to sit on the bass speaker.
I sat on that big bass. It was great.
From the earliest moments pre-birth, Ryan felt the vibrations of that bass.
Totally. I said that's, yeah, that would have, you should swing in here. That would have definitely been.
I don't think he's going to remember those. It was built into the earliest fiber of his being.
Totally.
So you played throughout that time, and then you're still continuing to play. I mean, that had to present challenges in terms of bands going places and jobs, and like, how did you deal with? You're still playing. You've got an infant one, early years.
His first job, the first job he went to, not his first job, was Seven Springs. He was born in May, May 20th, and on 4th of July weekend, we took him to Seven Springs, and we bought a low buggy that now his children ride in.
Oh.
And we put him down in the buggy with earplugs, and that was his first job.
Yes.
And it was just part of life.
Well, part of life still, you were a stay-at-home mom, and Ryan doesn't become who he is without music in the home, I'm sure. Just talk about like the music in the home or playing or, because at the quite early ages, he's starting to play.
Yeah. My dad was still living. My dad died when Ryan was 4. But, I'm counting. My dad, he would run in the house, and I should have brought that picture. He sat on his lap, and my dad had a big long bow, and he'd just go like this to him. Yes. And it was like, he just, when he could walk, run right up to my dad. My dad always had his fiddle and his bow on the couch. Yes. Always.
Leave it out.
Yeah.
Put it there. Yeah. So I'm sure there's singing and everything and music in the house. He starts playing, and you find these videos online, like of Ryan at, 3 or 4 years old singing. And speaking of like the dearness of seeing Stash and you sing together on stage, but seeing Ryan on stage and just you looking down at him looking up at you, him looking up at Stash, there's such a dearness. I mean, it's just captivating. I think the endearment that people had to you was not just, hey, I like your music. I just love the sweetness of this whole thing.
Thank you. It was special, and he would come up. Well, when he was 18 months old, he used to listen to the Eddie B albums, and he was already going, oh, you're my baby now, or those kinds of things, So Eddie and Tish already knew, and when we would go to the Springs or somewhere like that, Eddie would hold him. I mean, it was precious. So it was just a part of life. And when he started lessons, it's Suzuki lessons at 3, I would take him.
Yes.
And he would, and I would write the notes, from practice, but mainly he just had to balance it under his chin, And so it was natural for him to just hear it. And then Frank Koslosky was a DJ there. The different ones would have him do promos, and we would take him and he would do that. Yes. So it was already, he was comfortable.
Well, so you guys, if I recall, would travel with 2 vans, because you have one van with the adult band guys, then you have Stash,
my mom,
your mom,
my dad,
yes,
lots
and
of
Ryan,
times
because you got a baby, on board.
And we would listen to Scrubby's Polkas for Children, all the time, and he would fall asleep to it.
So were you still traveling at the time, or was it mainly local, or did you still, you made road trips with us too? two-band tandem. Here comes
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Commercial days, you know.
And they were both white bands. It was hilarious, yeah. He told the story how I would go slow through the tunnels when I was driving.
Oh, seriously.
Yeah.
Yes, well, that's true. Just, you know, a lot of bands, you trade off drivers.
Yeah.
Then when eventually I joined the band, and it was like Henny and Butch. I don't know if you didn't trust any of us to drive.
I don't think so. I don't think they trusted anybody but themselves, and that's okay. That's okay. But Henny used to say, "I'm driving all this way, and you're sleeping in the back," and I used to say, "I'm not sleeping. I'm praying in the back, making sure we get there safe."
Right, indeed. So, you know, the family aspect was such an integral part of it. Kind of flown in the family history mode. You know, the tragic passing of Stash. It was just such a devastation because, like, just the word,
Unexpected.
you know, the family aspect for you guys, like, music and family was so fit together. It had to be so hard to play a note. You know, when you're used to standing there and
Right.
Stash next to you and all.
It was hard. It was hard. Well, it was first hard when my dad passed, and that was we were at Ogilvy, first job afterwards, and
Yeah.
you know, you're behind stage, and my brother had his back to the audience, and he just like he looked at me, and we both took a deep breath, and he turned around and he started to talk. You know, but
Yeah.
the thing is, because in family are so intertwined with all fans, or it's
Yeah.
like family. And so they would stand in front of you and cry while you were crying, which made it, yeah, it was hard at first,
A
yeah.
lot harder, making me emotional just thinking
Yeah.
about it, yes.
And then with Stash, we were supposed to play Frankenmuth the following week, and that was tough. That was tough we didn't play that one, but then Ryan did go with you guys a few weeks later,
Yeah.
and I regret that I didn't go. Because it was really hard for him, but I just couldn't even, and I knew that you guys had
In some
him.
circumstances, you just find your way day by
Yeah.
day.
A lot of our friends went, and you know, and he told me it was fine, but he was shocked.
There's an outpouring of love. I mean, I look at you and your family as some of the most beloved people in polka music. I mean,
So
there's a lot of people that everybody, like, a lot of polka people get along, yeah, but there's a unique place that you guys hold in the hearts of people. Like, you wear your heart on your sleeve and love everybody. Like, it's really unique and special. I don't know if I know any people more beloved than you and Ryan in the polka world. And
it's just so easy to be. I mean, you just, you know, you come down an elevator now and you see people that, like the Kumars, sitting right there. I mean, I was, oh my gosh, I haven't seen them for a while, you know, and it's just like you've not missed a beat with these people.
Well, before there was a band named Polka Family, there was Polka Family.
Oh.
And after there's no longer a band named Polka Family, there will still be Polka Family, and it's, you know, a beautiful thing to be part of it. But I think that Ryan in his speech called you the matriarch. And I think that works for me. I mean, you're a sister, a mother, a daughter, just a heart. I'll say just in terms of the Versajays, like, if you want to say a head and heart thing, maybe Henny was the head, but you were absolutely the heart of the band in terms of, like, the personal engagement, and, you know, just
It's
people
just
love you.
fun. Well, I love them. I mean, it's just very special.
We sometimes ask, like, was it the music that you loved, or was it the people that was really?
Yeah, both, you know, because they love the music, so they're standing in front of you and they're singing right with you, you know, and that really helps.
So, well, the question would you rather be on stage, or would you rather be talking to everybody?
Yeah, I used to get in trouble for that because I was always late.
Yes,
You know that.
the set's about to start. Where's Dee Dee? Come on, you have to talk to 50 people.
I was talking to those people, and I don't see those people.
Yes. You played on the new brass Roll Out the Barrel record. I mean, this is an the iconic records in polka music history.
That was just luck.
Yes. Was that your first non-vocal performance on as a recording?
Right.
Yes.
I just happened to be, it must have been around the time we did I don't know which one.
Yes.
Homestyle maybe, because that Gary said, hey, they want to know if you want to cut the piano parts. I said, yes, but it was really
that's
fun.
super awesome.
Really fun.
First Versajay recordings, what, lead us through the
We did a
Versajays here?
45, and it was Lazy Boy Polka, and I just went blank. What was there on the other side? We'll edit that in.
Yes.
But anyway, so that was.
You don't have it in
was
the
a
stack.
40. I don't have it in the stack.
First one of your stack.
First one in the stack is the Homestyle.
Homestyle, and you see these wonderful pictures. I mean, talk about the Homestyle,
No,
and
Homestyle.
family pictures. There's Homestyle, yes.
Edit, Homestyle.
Yes, and you see these, it's all in the family here, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It was a blast. And these kids are really little, and that was fun.
Then comes what after that in Versajay's
After
sequence?
3 generations.
Three
and,
generations.
And my dad was already not well.
Right.
And we wanted to get this album, he wanted to do this album.
You see a picture on the front of your dad with Ryan and
Yeah.
the whole family. Oh, look at that head of hair.
Look at that head of hair. Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, it was a special album because he got to play and sing with Ryan on that one. So he did one of his own too. My dad did a fiddle album on his own too at one point. But that was.
So then you've got Tribute to Your Dad. Came
that
next.
we did after you passed.
Yes.
I actually sang a song with my mom on this, and that was.
What song was that?
something. It was I'll Never Forget Waltz.
Oh, wow, yes.
Yeah.
Well, your mom comes into the picture with Picking Cherries, which is probably one of your songs you're most famous for. Tell us the story about Picking Cherries.
She wrote the words. We needed a song, and so she said she stayed up all night, and I don't know how she got, and she called it Picking Cherries, and the guys were sitting at my aunt's house, and they were trying to find a chaser or a riff to go to it, and I remember Henny started humming something and that, and it just got put together in a week because
Was it quite quickly that it became like people like this song?
I guess because we did it all the time.
You kill on it. I mean, you.
Thanks, Randy. It's just
right there.
It's just a fun song. So we, that was it, Pickin' Cherries, and then, this is when Ryan did Polka Shuffle, and
oh my goodness, right?
I'm a Bum. So so this one was, the other one was Be a Monster and all. But so those were the beginnings of the Versajays, and then
comes CDs. Yeah, the CD era.
Yes.
Then you and your family worked. Oh my goodness! If I Could Be Like You, so 1992, all right.
You're better.
And speaking of another recording that you have your fingers in, you contributed, like you and who wrote If I Could Be Like You?
Actually, I started with it, and then Butchie came over one day, and he helped a little bit with that too.
It is just such a great song, like a beautiful, combination of Ryan and his age and Eddie B and working in the other Polish song in the middle of it. It's such a great song. So remember that year that won the IPA Song of the Year, and then just deservedly so. It's just a killer tune to have your fingers in. So
fun,
great
and
job
then he
on
was
that.
so gracious to do it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, beautiful. And that's speaking of another thing. Ryan's looking up at Eddie, and it's just, and here you are on the side seeing this all happen.
Yeah, there it is.
Yes, beautiful. That's 92. Later, the Versajays. Right. So you with your church did Sharing Our Blessings, which
You
was
were
a
involved
Christmas
with
record,
this.
and that was my first involvement with the recording with the Versajays. Which after the Energies disbanded, I plug into the Versajays. Which here again, like you guys had a family band, but the family connection, like even prior members of the Versajays, they became part of the Versajay family, and it was just a tremendous blessing to be brought into that whole environment, and it's just
Well,
so good.
you were stuck with us. You had to become a brother because
Yes.
and
For a while, I called myself a sub, and then it was a permanent sub, and it's like,
That's
who
right,
are we
I forgot
kidding?
about that.
You know,
I forgot
I'm a
about that.
Versajay, you know.
Oh my gosh, yeah, what a blessing.
But how fun to start working on recording projects and just like the Versajays have just different things to be showcasing in Ryan's development and some of the behind the scenes recording aspects that I don't know that people have any sense of your kind of coordination of things that were going on and would get together and Ryan, yourself and I would get together and around the kitchen table and we'll be trying stuff and you'd be flying in vocals and harmony and Ryan's ripping on fiddle and we're just working stuff. It was just such a fun growth and progression. For me, maybe some people didn't like that we were kind of featuring different aspects of the Versajays and Ryan's development in different ways. But hey, I mean, it was super fun.
You were huge blessing.
Such good times sitting around the kitchen table working on tunes.
Stash and I would be in the living room and you would be in the kitchen with Ryan and that kitchen floor would be pounding and we were going, wow, that's really cool. Really cool.
And just even in terms of coordinating the albums, I don't know how you're listed on the albums, but you were such the producer of, okay, we're going to do this. You're dealing with with Gary's scheduling sessions and you and Stash dealing with the duplication facilities and artwork and everything else. So, gosh. Good stuff.
It was really fun. Yeah, I mean, we didn't think of it as anything but, if you can do that with your family and my mom used to say, find something you love and then do that on the weekends instead of going to movies,
So Mother's Hands comes along
yes.
and you just happen to have a watercolor that someone did with you holding Ryan and then we come upon this song that's called Mother's Hands and it's like a rip and fiddle song it's like, well, that was made to be
that was in the hospital. That was when he was born.
So there was a picture someone took and someone did a watercolor of this before we came across this song and then we got this song. Well, it's perfect to have the mother holding the son and all this, But then another stepstone project for the Versajays. And then last recording with you guys with the Versajays was Come On Over, which was just what a project. And
it was unbelievable. And I mean you took it to every level and it was like you guys worked off of each other. It was so fun.
Just how fun just the harmonies would work on putting things together. And what a joy to sit around. Like I say, here we are at the kitchen table. Here's this song. Well, let's try harmony on it. It's like, just snap in. You guys are just amazing with.
Come in for a minute to this. Zip in here. Because this is fun.
This is fun, but it's still going to be about
It'll be about me, but come in there. You can say things that I probably am leaving out.
No, you haven't left anything out.
In terms of Come On Over, a particular Dee Dee experience was the nominations for Grammys are coming out that year, and I find out that the Versajays are nominated. It makes me emotional because I may not get as excited or whatever. I call you up and you're freaking out.
I'm freaking out.
Who knew first?
What?
Who knew first?
He did.
I did.
Yes.
And then I called everybody from
and just the meaningful of this. You've been at it a long time, and for us little guys, you're not the big name players or have a label or the total road warriors or whatever.
Oh my gosh.
And with this record, there was amazing stuff.
I mean, the medley. Oh my goodness, that you put together. And I mean,
let's be careful. Let's not talk about me. Songs. I think "Restless" is a feature of your song, and we may forget the 247 Polka Heaven Song of the Year from that year was on a back of all things, and we did the song "Touch of the Master's Hands," which you sing and sing so beautifully, and that was the song of the year for 247 Polka Heaven. Or as my wife says, you better call it 24/7. What do they say? And he did such a beautiful job, and it was like the thought to put that as the last song on the record. Like, you want to end strong. It's like, wait a second, we're going to end with this
I remember when you said
non-polka,
Remember that?
poignant, and it's like just beautiful. Close off the record with that. Just a beautiful job. And you know what? And I said, you're just recording the live recording with Lenny Gomulka, and I was talking to Danica because you recently did the Lenny Gomulka recording, To the Moon.
Yeah.
And I turned to Danica, I was like, I think you're just getting better.
Oh.
I think you're just
I love you, Randy.
even better. It's like, and yeah.
Being able to do that after all these years was so exciting and scary because I haven't sung, you know. I mean, we sang at your wedding and things like that, but yeah, and they were all rooting and coaching, and you know, I learned to try to get your voice up and all that. You know, before you just went to the job and you sang, but yeah.
Just you open your mouth and it's strong. I was driving with my son-in-law Travis, and we were listening to Come On Over. Like, part of a family tradition has been, we're going on vacations. My daughters always like to put in Come On Over. So we're listening to this, and Travis says, you know, if she wasn't in polkas, like, she could have been big in country. Like, she has such a voice. And like, we just did Mass today, and you came up and sang some of the songs we used to do with the verses, Jason. Like, you open your mouth, and it is there. Like, it is present. You're rich and solid.
Too loud?
So, oh my goodness, it's just such a good, I don't want to say cutting, like a good presence, and you're a powerhouse.
And I will say one thing, and then I'm going to go back off.
No,
because
don't.
This is about you. But this is a good place to say, you know, a lot of the Teflon Stilettos energy. And,
Teflon stilettos.
Is that what you said? You
I
call
call them
it
Teflon skillets.
Skillets.
Teflon
I'll take the stiletto. What if it's you?
Whoa, okay.
Take it to another level. No, but a lot of that pouring to somebody else went to me, you know?
Oh.
And so in, you know, finally giving her the recognition that she's deserved for such a long time, I think it's poignant to come from me, and this person who probably has gotten more credit than I actually deserve, because I think it should be on record that, you know, it would not have been possible if it wasn't for her. You talk about the production aspect of the records and everything. Talk about the production aspect of making me who I am and giving these musical opportunities. So I've been blessed with a lot of musical opportunities in my life, in polkas and in many different genres, but none of that would have happened if it wasn't for both her pouring herself into me, but if she didn't have this musical heart and soul and blood running through her, you know, it would never have been able to happen. So all that to say, yeah, no, it's just really great for you to be recognizing that about her voice, because it hasn't gone anywhere. It is only gotten better, and she, you know, which all of us, I think, probably have the tendency to do, is doubt ourselves in a way, but I think through her humility sometimes she questions things, and I hope that this is an affirmation for her that, you know, it's, and this record, while you're on Come On Over, like, you know, it sure says it features me and everything, but she's the one that's won all the awards over the years. You know? That means something.
And part of the thing, now we can have a little chat.
Yeah.
Kind of ignore her a little bit about how unassuming. Like talk about someone who, you can win awards, but you'd still just as soon be in the background.
Right.
And it's like, you'd rather be in the back, but you're the voice. You know, and you were a voice that was kind of set the standard in polka music for years and years and years, and it was because like you're not someone who's up there, look at me, and kind of like that kind of presence. Like, did that lead us to, in some ways, undervalue the quality of the music that's coming out of your mouth?
If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be doing any of this.
Okay,
But even
kick you out.
And on another instrumental sense, you know, filling the role that's needed.
Yeah.
Like, she was a pianist.
Yeah.
She was studying classical piano, and she's a great piano player. The band needed a bass player. So, okay, that's what I do. I do what I'm asked to do. And she did such a great job over the years on it, always looking to lock in, hold it, lock in, you know, with the rhythm instruments and everything. And where would she go would be, oh, well, I'm only the left-hand bass. No, like you were the bass player that locked in with the rhythm section. We're doing all of that, but you also were giving energy to minimizing yourself.
You're so happy having it not be about you that I'm glad that this is a time, and I hope you're feeling it. Like, and it's hopefully giving all of us in the polka world a chance to say, wait a second, this doesn't just happen. Like, this is a body of work over a lifetime that is remarkable and worthy of this. Yes. So
I love you kids.
So we'll talk about just even other aspects. Just from the musical aspect, I'm glad we're talking this through and paying you your due respect here.
Listen, you guys do it from the heart
Here
and
she goes.
Stiletto.
and you can read amazingly.
Teflon stilettos.
They probably can make those.
But no, it's really cool, and I will lastly say, as was said in the speech, but for someone who spent her entire life celebrating others and their accomplishments, to have a moment, and hopefully it's my hope and prayer that the moment lasts a very long time, to be able to celebrate you and what you've done and what you.
Oh boy, this is gonna be
challenging.
If people hear this, and they're all like just fawning over you, you're gonna be like, oh, so uncomfortable.
Thanks.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So then comes the move to Nashville. Wow, speaking of, piggybacking off, it's not about you. So this was a trying time for the family with Stash passing, but it's like, this was, in hindsight, this happened, it all fit together with the move to Nashville for Ryan, and then had already moved, was trying things out, then you follow, and it's like, okay, this is you being the support, and
you know, and you're a parent, you do the same thing. Stash passed in August of 2006, and the lady that Art Olszewski sent his video to,
goodness. Yes.
to CMT calls. I'm driving down the street to go to the house. I can still remember this, and she said, "I think it's time Ryan needs to come to Nashville."
Yeah.
And
this isn't going to happen remote, right? You need to be here.
And I literally remember thinking, I have to tell him this. How am I going to do this?
So you're having this conversation
to myself. Yeah.
Wow.
I have to tell him she wants him to come to Nashville, and that was like, gosh, you know. Wow. But then when I talked to him, he said, "All right, I'll go, but I want you to come." Wow. So then it was, I'm like, what am I going to tell my family?
Yeah.
You know, and he said, "Mom, we will go." We went in March. That was a slow time of year for the band.
Okay.
And he said, "We will go, and we'll just see what they're talking about, what we should do." He said, because he talked about going to school there, but he went to Duquesne in Pittsburgh, and we came back home, and he said, "Let's do this. Let's go from May to August. If I don't get a job by August, then we'll come back home." So we didn't sell the house, which was tough because that lasted for a while. And I know it just, you know, when your son just loses his dad, And he says, I want you to come. You just go.
Yeah.
You have to. And I said that to the family, and they understood. It was tough, though, because we did this for life,
Yes.
always. And we were supposed to come back in August, and he calls me in July and says, I just got you a part-time job.
Yes, and there's a polka connection to this too, and this is all just
Totally.
divinely orchestrated, providential.
Probably.
Well, how did this all happen with the job?
We went to the Grammys, and we met two guys from the Country Music Hall of Fame and Museum, Alan Stoker and Michael Gray, and they were nominated for Night Train to Nashville,
Yes.
and they won. But ours wasn't. We were honored to be nominated, right? Isn't that what we always said? But anyway, they were behind us everywhere we went, not planned.
That we
Remember
yeah,
that?
that's, yeah, there's events.
Yeah, they turned around, oh, hi, yeah, hey. And then seating, oh, they were right behind us in the
Yes.
pre-televised thing. And so they said, hey, when you're over in Nashville, just look us up. We'll take you
Yes.
to the hall and show you around. They took this and put it in the archives.
Which is crazy.
Yeah,
Our
it's pretty
present
cool.
day recording is in the archives of
Yeah.
Country Music Hall of Fame. Cool.
And so July, he decides, he's laughing over there. He decides he got this job, to the hall, and he's gonna get me a part-time job there.
Yes.
So, we
But-
didn't come back in August.
How perfect, though, of all the places you could land with a part-time job, it's in the Country Music Hall of Fame,
Yeah.
so that everybody in the polka world who ever goes to Nashville comes to the Country Music Hall of Fame. What do?
They go to the front desk and they say, Bill, and they go, does Dee Dee Ogrodny work here? And he calls me and he goes, there's a polka person here for you. I said, how do you know? He said, because their name ends in SKI.
And they ask for you.
And they asked
That's
me.
what it is.
Yeah. So I go up to the front and not the way I get to
So
meet.
this, I mean, anytime on social media you see someone's in Nashville, you see a picture of them going to the Country Music Hall of Fame. If you had some other job, like this wouldn't have been possible, but like here you are in the Country Music Hall of Fame, and they know this is about polka music, and like there's
Yeah.
no secret that you're
Oh.
a polka girl, and
We
anybody
talked
who's
about it all
coming.
the time. I say, you guys have to come. You just don't get it. It's not what you think. It's not just big hoop skirts and
Yes.
I'm telling you, you can be one and you can be 101, and everybody gets along and everybody has fun.
Yes.
It's a blast.
I remember you talking about the country music scene as being like the polka music world. Like, so, well, of course, like anywhere you go, people love you. Okay, so you know other people, but you see the similarities in our genre of music. It is a special community.
It really
And just you spoke of the country music community being kind of like that in some respects.
A lot of families in bands, a lot of,
people knowing each other.
yeah, Sarah Evans's brother is in it. I mean, a lot of families. I mean, I shouldn't even start because there's so many. And everybody knows each other and that, but I don't know that they hug as much as we do. And I don't know that.
Yeah, it's like a deeper feel. Like it's
It's a deep,
acquaintance and nice. It's really unique.
yeah.
Like a lot of people don't have a sense of community in their life. I'm reading a book now about like people have their workplace and their home, and they don't have that other place where they feel connected to a community. Boy, what a blessing in the polka world to have that. And
Oh.
it's like you are I say you are an example of the best the polka music has to offer, both in terms of your music and your performance in that regard, but in terms of the way there is a connection that's special amongst polka folk, and you wear that on your sleeve, and to the thousands of people that have passed through the Country Music Hall of Fame, it's just so evident, or everybody that when you enter the door of the polka festival and ever go anywhere, and everyone along the way is your dear polka family, part of your polka family.
It's so cool. I did get to work. I mean, he got me the part-time job, and then I went to the Opry, and I worked that full-time and 2 nights. So I worked 7 days a week for a while. That was crazy, but I was trying to keep busy.
Yes.
And I didn't want to be like Well, he worked at the Hall of Fame for a while.
Yes.
So I would walk down and kind of not look at him because I didn't want it to be there's mom, watching over him or something, But he was great, and so everybody knew the polka thing. Everybody knew the polka through both of us.
Yes. Okay, so let's see, where else can we go? Well, so the Nashville thing goes on. You worked at the Hall of Fame for quite a number of years. During all of those years, I said you were Nashville's polka ambassador because they would come, they would know the polka connection. You'd be the, queen welcoming them there. And now you and Ryan and Danica have, like last year was the first trip that that Four Strings Attached Tours had this polka tour of Nashville.
Yeah.
So so here's a chance for people to come, visit with Dee Dee, and do all that other Nashville stuff too. So,
Yeah, well, for years people will call you when you move somewhere like that, and they come down, and you try to see them as much as you can. But when you're working, I always felt bad for him because you get pulled in a million. He was, getting his doctorate, and he got married and had his first child, and people would like to see you when they come down, and they also. I just went off track again, but they would want to see, like when I worked there, exactly, they would come in, and people always said, boy, those polka people are fun, nice people.
Yes.
They're used to bachelorette parties, and those are crazy that come
Yes.
through there. Well, this was just wholesome, good people that would come to the hall, So people would say, you want to, show us, want to show us this, want to show us that. And then his teacher from high school said, I'd like to bring a group of school kids down. Could you show us around? So that's what sparked all this.
Yes.
And
But bringing the polka connection in, like I said,
Yeah.
gives people an excuse to come.
And people were
visit.
saying, can we come? Once they knew that he was doing that, and that, it was, can we come? So that's exactly what started this touring. But the thing about this was really cool. And honestly, I thought I was going to be babysitting. I didn't know I'd be involved with doing this.
Come on,
But-
they're polka folk, and you're gonna go to Nashville and not be having plugged in.
Well, that's
Come
what was
on.
so cool about it, because I could see everybody, and I had so much fun.
Yes.
I was blown away by, and the connections there, to be able to go to that Bavarian house. I mean, there's just so much, with the guys that play there, and the guys that play in Alan's band that do things at the Music City Bar and Grill,
Yeah.
and Lenny coming down, and us being able to go to the Nashville Palace, and us renting from Jeannie Seeley when we first moved there, and now her becoming such a dear friend.
That's
You
so
know.
awesome, truly.
And the people that he played, like having Jimmy Fortune there,
Yes.
or it was quite, and then being able to record in Studio B, that was a hoot. I worked there, so yeah, it was a very fun thing.
So, just in the polka world, just over the span, favorite places to play that jump out to you?
Well, it was always Seven Springs.
Seven Springs was such the high point of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's my home festival, love it, but it was just such an iconic place to play.
That
Do you have a favorite musical memory of playing Seven Springs?
Oh my goodness. Lots of them. Yeah, Stash and I would be there when we were dating. We would listen to Ray J and go play, with our band. It was like that. I remember sliding down those hills in the snow in November when it was a fall festival.
Yes.
And then naturally, getting to take him, but the Blazonczyk fan, and when you came, doing the polka mass there, incredible.
Yeah, that was a great time.
Yeah.
I'm thinking also going even further back, like you mentioned the different polka clubs around. Boy, what an era where there was just so many polka clubs, and the Keysport Eagles, just your local,
Trafford
close to you
Polka.
guys, Trafford, yeah, all these places just had dances Friday, Saturday, all these places. Well, and we can't leave out Fedora's Grove, I'm sure.
Oh my gosh, well,
you have the special
and-
stuff, your connection there too, but yeah.
And I'm glad you said that, because I mentioned that in my speech yesterday, and I would have gotten to it, but that was
What a
iconic.
polka venue, yes.
Yeah.
Just, yeah.
I mean, I saw Little Wally there, I saw Happy Louie there, and Yulcha's little one was sleeping underneath the music stand. I mean, talk about family stuff, that was beautiful. But we would do, Eagles was 9 to 1, right? That was
Yes.
Friday night. You remember these. We would do maybe Braddock. We played Braddock. It was 9 to 1, then 10 to 2. Trafford was 10:30 to 2:30.
Yes.
There were-
Different time.
Yeah, we would go from our job and travel to hear them
Hear
to
last
such play and yeah, and in another. I mean, there was that many people. There were that many people that were involved in polkas, and you could just do them.
So for some time, Vote versus Jace was more local. Then we started doing more festivals around, which is just great to
Oh my gosh.
share those times and hit the road and give people around the country a chance to.
It was
Get
like
a dose of
Frank and me,
diversity.
you know, I hadn't been there since, well, he was 19, I guess,
Yes.
you know, and those people remember, and you remember them. You may not remember their names, but you go, oh my gosh, I haven't
Yeah.
seen you in all these years, you know.
Yeah, it's such great stuff.
Yeah.
Here's going to be an uncomfortable question.
Oh my.
What do you think sets you apart in polka music?
Oh my goodness. Set me apart. I could probably think of some funny things.
Okay, I'm gonna have to call in the ringer. We've kind of covered some of this already. You know, with
Yeah.
perhaps we can maybe leave. We've talked about her voice. You're welcome to slide in, but this is kind of the recap. I mean, it is just bears re-saying. Yes.
Well, and maybe this is something that you haven't touched on either.
Yes.
Females in polkas.
Oh, that was,
I looked
yes.
at the picture yesterday that
Yes.
was taken of the IPA Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
All men.
Yeah.
And her.
Yeah.
Um,
And there are a lot of great ones that have come up.
There are.
But-
For such a long time, you know, she is, and she has set the bar for females in polka
Yeah.
music throughout history. And I think that this is poignant that she is, and you know the history better than me, but I would say she's probably the first female in a while to be inducted, or
Sure
it
seems
seems
like
like
it.
it anyway.
Yeah, it's just
So what sets the, you know, not that is the be all end all, but
I'm sure
to
that's
be
going to change. That's going to start.
to be a female in a male dominated genre, who has had the impact that she has had and continues to have, while also having a full-time stay-at-home mom job,
Yes.
while losing her husband, while having a move to a state that, you know, I still cannot believe that she made, and she did that for me.
Yes.
But she, you know, she had a lot of adversity. She was in a genre that didn't dominate, or was male dominated, and she still had this huge impact.
Yes.
Without even talking about her powerful voice and her musicality and all that stuff, and her ability to organize. I mean, goodness gracious, she used to say, family band. No matter what, you have to be able to sit down for Easter and Christmas dinner together.
Right, whatever.
In
And
a-
sometimes tensions can arise in a band
Of
situation.
course, always
you know?
does, and that's okay.
Yeah,
But
because
if you-
it's a business,
but when you have a family doing it, and I think the rest of the family would say the same thing, like she was the glue.
You was the glue, you were the heart, and you were navigating some of the things that need to be navigated in band life within the context of family life.
And she was the one, if I would be aggravated, that I would go to voice concerns. I know that my dad would be the same thing, I'm sure, Henny, her brother.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
And I
it came to
was
her,
happy.
and she,
I said, tell me.
you know.
Yes.
I'll figure it out. But you know what? My mom gave me great advice, and it's good for anything. She said, always put yourself in the other guy's shoes and see what they're feeling.
Yes.
Because you can't, you know, everybody has challenges. And
I mean, I don't know, you can maybe speak to the uniqueness of this, but I have heard it said to me, you don't know what it's like to be a teenage girl. So
True.
here you are, you're starting playing, you're a preteen, but then you're a teenage girl in a band. So,
Right.
for any of the guys out there who do not know what it's like to be a teenage girl, here you are being a teenage girl and just needing to deal with what you need to deal with,
Yeah.
and
If you love
play
it.
in a band.
But like we talked about yesterday, when you can do this with your family
Right.
and still be as close as we all are, it's a huge
Well,
blessing.
And you've lived through it. You've lived through being a teenage girl, which the male musicians do not know what it's like to do that. And they do not know what it's like to be a pregnant polka musician traveling mid-pregnancy, giving birth and stuff in the play. Probably, I don't know, how quickly after you give birth you're back on the stage playing, right?
It was about 6 weeks.
And then
It was about 6
the
weeks.
mother of an infant and whatever age throughout, playing continues.
Oh my gosh.
There you are.
I'll say, because we're on the point of the female, I'll say something that Lisa said to me today, and she choked up, and it was really powerful to me, because she saw me lift CC in the air, and she was saying, in life, a child, she was reading a book recently, I believe, that said this, but a child needs the father and the mother's presence for different reasons, and having those lines be known to a child from an early age is so important. And she was referencing the strength of a dad being able to but in polkas we need both. And it's different, but it's the same. And I think she has filled this role as a mother for so many years, wife, just a great example of a talented, and I said this in my speech yesterday, she has been inducted into this Hall of Fame for her musical skills alone and how she's used them in this field to be able to check all the boxes of requirements for induction into this. That's why she's in. But we can then also say, being her and having these skills and how she's used them, she's shown that a female can do this. Why? And she's given that example to likely countless, females over the years.
Yeah.
Not to mention men who admire that as well. But we need a female presence in our lives, and she's been that for so many years.
Well, for sure, and like I say, Joe is an example of all that's good about polkas. This culture doesn't just happen. It happens with real people being connected, and just the dearness and the connection, the deep connections you have with all of us polka friends and polka family. The polka family in the grand sense is just unique and singular in the polka world. So maybe we can say there's a wrap on that topic, and you don't even have to say anything.
Let me say one. First of all, being a mom is the absolute best thing that ever happened to me. It's the best gift to be a parent in the whole wide world.
Yes.
And there are a lot of wonderful female vocalists.
Yes.
And I was just fortunate to do it with a band and to do it this many years. I mean, over 50 some years, I don't even know how many years. Being away from it, while we were in Nashville, thank the dear Lord, I never thought I'd say this for Facebook, because it's really goofy sometimes, but you can really stay in touch with people, and I never felt away from it.
Yes. Correct.
And we would come home when Henny was playing, and we would be able to jump in, and that was great. And you've always been great about that. And now being able to do what we're doing right now, I never imagined that I'd get to do this and share this with Cece and Lucy. I mean, it's a huge blessing. And
Could you say a greatest achievement in polkas?
Wow. Doing it with family, getting this yesterday,
Yes.
getting to go to the Grammys, getting to go to Poland, to the Częstochowa Shrine.
Yeah.
You getting to play there, Father Kevin.
Just the
and
meaningfulness of that was just so profound.
unbelievable.
Love
With
of Polish
you.
heritage and all.
Watching those little women in their 80s on their knees, circling that shrine.
Well,
Oh my goodness.
which ties into like the faith aspect. I mean, you've always been a wonderful, faithful person, and you live it, and it shows, and it's not without that you are who you are. So just
What a blessing everything's been. I mean, oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, just.
so Ryan, I think you mentioned about the achievements that you've had, but being able to play with a family. Like there's all these micro moments. Like I mentioned these videos that people should look up of watching the Versailles play, and just like, what would you rather have, a Grammy nomination or this moment that's gone and almost forgotten because there's so many of them, but it's so profoundly beautiful. Just have this connection, playing a song on the stage together, looking at each other, just the dearness of you guys, just awesome.
I have a room, and this is me being crazy, but it did help when your computer went. I have pictures of everywhere that we have played. People are lovely and send videos. I have cases full of videos that, I mean, and they're priceless. That's, you're right.
It's
That's
the personal.
that's where you don't forget about things, and you know, when you say sometimes you may forget. Thank the dear Lord for that. That's great.
Anything else we need to touch on? It's other fun stories, crazy, wacky stories.
We told some yesterday.
Yes.
Did talk about. Well, we were just talking now about Randy and when he was broke down that time. You talked about the wedding that we showed up for in. Oh my goodness. I think it was it Mount Vernon or something like that, and the Invictus. We were all set up for this wedding. My brother was meticulous about booking. We were all set up for this early, you know, and in walks the Invictus. And Sue Martini said, hey, what are you guys doing here? And he said, we're playing a wedding. And Seal said, we're playing a wedding.
Oh, yeah.
We were in the wrong wedding. And it was like luckily two streets down or whatever, but what a disaster that could have been. So that was one of the exciting moments.
Well, speaking of like playing in a family band, I'm thinking of, okay, when you ask about crazy, wacky stories, like some polka bands may have stories about, well, someone was hammered up with this or that horrible thing happened. It's like, Versailles, like this was not the culture of the Versailles, you know.
And that's why we have to be related, because we would be in the back of that van and you'd have your milk. And remember, Henny had a brand new van and it was chocolate milk and you spilled it on the plastic mat.
Whoa, what?
Yeah. But
anybody who knows Henny and how meticulous he was with bands knows.
Yeah.
But and there was like we may not have crazy wacky stories of people having drunken experiences, but the simplicity and the hilarity of a van ride with the Versailles who had this family dynamic here. Here's Henny and Butch in the front, and they're being bicker, whatever.
Yeah, funny.
They're funny together, and we're just laughing about it in the back.
We had a couple fill-ins that came in, and I remember one in particular grabbed Henny's seatbelt to open his can of beer in the van.
Oh yeah.
He didn't drink that in the van. but you know what? It was all in good fun, and like you said, we're still all friends with a lot of the fill-ins that came in.
Well, I feel like a family member.
You are
family,
you're stuck
and there's other guys that have been. It's like once you are.
Richie Zabrowski used to help us, and Dave Morris. You know, those guys and their wives are just so dear to your heart. You know, and it's just good stuff.
So, anything else to add you'd care to say that we didn't cover, that we should cover? What am I forgetting?
Gee.
Yeah.
What am I forgetting?
Well, maybe it's time to come to a wrap on this interview. It has been my privilege. I'm going to start crying.
Oh, don't, because then we all will. I looked at you walking into the IPA yesterday and lost it. Yeah, it's like, you know.
I'm like, you know, at all moments like this, you just look back and say, wow, what a blessing to share the stage with you.
And become lifelong.
To do the musical projects we've done, to know you as a person, and just like I say, it's not just me who feels this connection in the polka world that you have, in this unique, special place you have in our hearts. You're a singular presence in the polka world, and I'm glad you're honored in this way as a 2023 inductee into the Polka Music Hall of Fame.
It's huge. I hope they know how much this means. It never expected in my wildest dreams, and so thankful. And your family, I mean, we could talk a lot about your wife and your beautiful wife and your daughters, and what you did for him and how he loves you, and just so much good, and that came through a connection to polkas.
Well, don't be deflecting now. Let's keep those Teflon stilettos. So, with much love, and with much love for myself and the whole polka world, we say congratulations. I'm so happy that this has happened.
Love you, Randy.
Bless you.
Love you, Kenneth. Thank you.